You seek that which will bestow upon you the right to rule. A quest to reclaim a homeland and slay a dragon.
Do not think I won't kill you, dwarf.
When did we allow evil to become stronger than us?
It is not our fight.
It is our fight.
What is it, trap?
It's undoubtedly a trap.
Such is the nature of evil. In time, all foul things come forth.
If you awaken that beast, you will destroy us all.
Was that an earthquake?
That, my lad, was a dragon.
Good morning, Dragoncon. It seems pretty fitting that there would be a dragon here at Dragoncon. The guys are just off stage. They can hear you. Why don't we make it really clear what we just thought of that trailer? Tremendous. We just need to make a couple of announcements. Take care from those. Immediately following this panel, the guys will head over to signings, as usual. That will be right away, and it won't be for very long. So it's your last chance, really, to get that taken care of. At 1 o'clock, Sylvester will do a live commentary for the Battlefield episode. That other thing he does. And, of course, it's early morning and it's the last day of the con, so we're really pleased to have you here. We never really thank Dragoncon and the audio folks and the people who make this room happen, so let's give them a round of applause. This panel will be a Q&A, and you will provide the cues. And so on each side, about halfway back, we have people with microphones. And so if you can now begin to line up, so you will have a chance to ask these guys questions. Well, in the Hobbit movie last year, there was a dwarf with an axe in his head. Memorably played by our first guest, who may have a surprise for us today. Keep your fingers crossed. Mr. William Kircher. His dwarven comrade-in-arms, although we will note he never headbutted William's character. I'm confident today that any request for headbutting will be denied. So, Mr. McTavish has quite a long and varied history of work that he's done, including some video work, which people may not realize, and things like Uncharted, but he's done on film and television, but more importantly, he's here with us today, Mr. McTavish. we have an actor who can tame both rabbits and hedgehogs, who travels time and is yet timeless, Mr. Sylvester McCoy. Fortunate about having these guys a few days in a row is we get to ask them some different questions and get a little deeper. And so we've talked about dwarves and wizards, and we thought this morning it would be fun to talk a little bit about actors. What we'd like to know from each of you guys is really where did the inspiration or where did the motivation start in your lives to become an actor, to decide that this was the thing that you wanted to do with your life?
When I was young, and I would give this advice to all young actors, you know, I started when I was about 12, 13, I got bitten by the bug and I started doing plays. I came from a small town, started doing local plays, and I applied for a 2-week drama course in the big city, and I got in. And when I was there, I found out it was a national drama school that I didn't know anything about because I was green as grass. And I applied for the drama school, which was a 2-year course and then a 1-year apprenticeship. And lo and behold, I got in. But there is a bit of a story. When I filled in the form, because once again I was green as grass, it had age, and I thought it would look better if I said I was 17, which is still very young. But actually, in reality, I was 16, which is far too young to go to drama school. They don't like it when you're that young because they sort of feel that you haven't really got the life experience to appreciate it and really to benefit from it. But I got in. And so I spent about 6 months and waited about 6 months before I told them because I was scared they'd kick me out. And they didn't kick me out. I think they probably nearly did. And so that's where it all started for me. I mean, it was this was in New Zealand, and actually it was a very sophisticated industry in those days, more so than it is now, because there were government-funded theatres all around the country, even in some of the smaller towns, and you got paid to go. So for the first 7, 8 years of my career, I just did back-to-back contracts in theatre. If you weren't on the main stage at night, you were doing theatre and education, you were doing holiday shows, and it was a fantastic grounding for an actor. It doesn't actually happen now. I feel a bit sorry for the actors now because it's a completely different industry. I mean, it's still good, but it is different. So there's my story.
Yes, I suppose, well, the reason I got into acting, I used to write, at school I used to write comic sketches with my best friend, and we wouldn't trust anybody else to perform them, so we performed them. I had no interest at all in acting, I just wanted to do the writing and the comedy and whatever. And we used to do that, and the drama teacher used to ask me to be in the school play. And I always said no. Every year I said, no, not interested. And then one year, I don't know why, they were doing a production of The Rivals by Sheridan. And Bob Akers, the character of Bob Akers, I don't know if anybody's read the play, but the character of Bob Akers, the actor playing that dropped out 3 days before we were due to put it on. And he came to me and said, would you be in it? And to this day, I have no idea why I said yes. I really, truly, I suspect there was a girl in the cast that I fancied. Yeah, it really probably was that. And I learned all the lines in 3 days, and we did one performance, and that was that. As soon as I did that performance, I never wanted to do anything else. Yeah, so I went on and did it at university, and did it during my year off between school and university. Was in amateur dramatics, did a lot at university, and then went into theatre from there. Yeah.
I never trained for dramatic practice. A lot of critics, noted that. City of London as a trainee executive, and I hated every minute of it. I was more of a trainee alcoholic, really. Luckily, the 60s arrived, the hippie revolution arrived, and everyone used to drop out, and I dropped out really fast. With my hair long, my moustache and my beard, and I wore dangly bits and beads and stuff like that, and I did inhale. And I ended up working in the box office at the Roundhouse, which was the centre of the wheel of the hippie revolution in London. And my job was just, I sold tickets for all rock concerts and plays, avant-garde, brand new things. American groups, La Man used to come. And I was very happy doing that. It was great. I was using the skills that gleaned in the City of London. And one day, a director came in called Ken Campbell, he's a genius, comic genius. And I learned later he was looking for someone who was starting a new group called the Ken Campbell Roadshow, and someone had let him down at the last minute. And he came in, and one of the persons who were collecting the tickets I was selling was an actor as well, Brian Murphy. Those of you who watch British television would know him. He's a wonderful actor. And he used to collect the tickets, and we used to just loon around. So anyway, Ken goes up to him and says, Brian, I've got this mad show, sometime every January. A young actor, I might like the job. And Brian said, well, that's the guy in the box office. He's completely out of his head. And so Ken came up to me, I remember seeing him in the little square, the window of the box office, and said, would you like to join my group? I have a great inability to say no. I always say yes. Good job, I wasn't a girl. Anyway, I said yes, and that was it. I then regretted it afterwards and thought, what am I doing? I like this job. What am I doing? But I said yes, and I kept my word, and I became an actor. That was it, really.
So we're going to do another round of all three, and maybe we'll start with Sylvester, go backwards. But what inspires you today? That's how you started. Who do you see, or what do you see that inspires you as an actor?
I think that's why I do it, really. I'm addicted to audiences. Don't tell anyone this. But I always like to do this for nothing. Come along to a convention and chat and entertain and I love doing it. And also nothing on the stage. I love, that live communication. I love film as well. Stage is like painting with a broad brush. It's me, it's up there. To me or not to me, all that stuff. Whereas film is like, oh, look at that little. Cursed little hedgehog. It's all philosophical. It's like dealing with a fine Japanese pen, acting in film. And that's quite fun. I enjoy those contrasts. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, no, I definitely concur. It's the audiences that give you the inspiration, and you get that something like this with doing the Hobbit, and there have been times when I was doing, which was not quite so inspiring, but I was doing what's called a pantomime. I don't know if you have pantomimes in America. You do. Well, they're very, very, very popular in the UK, and extremely popular in Scotland. It's huge. And I was
dress up as women.
Yes, men dress up as women.
They take off the kilt. Yeah, they take off the kilts so they put on dresses.
Wow. Remind me to go and see you. That's fine. But I was doing Pinocchio. And I was playing Dragoncon, the evil puppeteer. And, and I just, I thought, I'm not taking this seriously, this is going to be great. And one of my best friends at the time had played Dragoncon, the evil puppeteer, in the previous production that this theatre had put on. And I said to him, any tips? Any tips for me? Any kind of, inspiration that I can take from you? And he said, yeah, wear a cricket box. And if you don't know what a cricket box is, it's a plastic cup that protects your wedding tackle, basically. And I said to him, what do you mean? Why would I wear a cricket box? Yeah, you'll find out. I went, okay. And sure enough, when I did Dragoncon, the Evil Puppeteer, during the performance, if you were the audience, there would be what's called a runaround. And the hero would jump off the stage, and then Dragoncon, the Evil Puppeteer, would run after him through the audience. And then, everyone's like, oh, fantastic, that sounds great. The kids in this theatre, all they did, because they're at that height, you're like that, as you're running past them, boom! Right in the groin. For 2 months. So that was the best bit of advice I've ever had.
So you're wearing one today?
I am wearing one.
He never takes it off.
Well, you can't drive, you might be regulated.
It is a great thing bringing joy to people. I agree, Sylvester and Graham, that is one of the best things in the world, to bring something to people. But I do want to just talk about what I love about the joy of acting on screen, because it's a completely different discipline than theatre. Theatre is lovely and very good and fun, and there's still things cross over, and they're still similar, but there is something fantastic about playing the truth on camera, because you have to be so in the zone and so real and so centered and so instantaneous. And it is a fantastic, when you get it right and you're in character and you've got 100 people in the room and the camera's on you and you know you do a good job and you're really there, it's a fantastic feeling. I really love working on camera. I haven't done stage for a long time actually, but I would love to do another play, because I did a lot when I was younger. But that magical feeling when the director is happy with your performance and you really have the truth, it's a wonderful feeling.
Our cues are lined up already, or queued up, I should say. So let's start with the question right away, and we'll get as many as we can.
This question's for Graham. I know that you and Richard apparently play table tennis a lot. I just wanted to know who scored the most points.
Well, actually, it wasn't just Richard and I. There was quite a little table tennis tournament going on when we were waiting to go on. One day I will publish the photographs, and there are some extraordinary pictures of Martin Freeman in full Bilbo costume playing table tennis with Stephen Hunter dressed as Bomber. Amazing. And actually, my favorite photograph is probably Martin playing a game against Mark Hadlow, with Stephen Hunter being the umpire. All of them in costume. And Stephen standing there at the table with his arm out like that, point to Martin. And it's just the most surreal image. But Richard and I, it was pretty competitive actually. Yeah. I mean, I know I guess he won. I mean, technically. But Martin was a fiendish table tennis player. He was very good. Very good. I think it was the feet. Okay,
He can always bat it with his foot.
exactly. It's like another bat.
Yes.
So just, Amy, do we have a line on this side as well?
Do.
Okay, then let's go. Let's have it.
First of all, thank you, gentlemen, for coming. It's been wonderful to see you all.
Oh.
also wondering if there were any other roles in The Hobbit that you could choose instead of playing what you did. What would they be?
Galadriel. Can't beat it.
That's put me off completely. I was so in love with her now.
I think Graham would make a great Galadriel.
Thank you. A bearded Galadriel. Well, to everyone to their taste. I'm Bilbo Baggins. I was up for in Lord of the Rings. So maybe originally, we got down to 2 actors. For 6 months, they kept saying to my agent, there are only 2 left, and I didn't know who the other one was. And they said, let us know if he gets these dates booked up for anything else. And then the day before, he said, we don't want you, we want, what's his name?
Some famous actor.
Knight, the great Ian Holm. So I suppose, in a way, maybe that part, yeah, I'd like to have done it. Although, I'm quite delighted to have done it. Radagast Brown. Working with Sebastian was the happiest moment of my life.
Very good to the point, he doesn't really like it.
Don't mention Sebastian. Well, the great, magnificent actor Stephen Fry is going to be playing a character in the next film. It's in the book called The Master of Lake Town. Now, I love playing villains. As an actor, it is the best fun, playing really nasty people and having a bit of fun with them. And so I would love to play the Master of Lake Town. But I'm very happy with Bifur, and I'm very happy with Tom the Troll. But you know, there's my answer.
Back on the side.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
We had so much fun playing boards yesterday, and knowing how hot we were, going to that room smelled like soft gas.
Who's the smelliest in the cast? Wow.
We're all pretty good, us.
You probably need to ask the costume department. But there was, when we used to get undressed at the end of the day,
Oh my gosh.
if it was a really difficult fighting day or running day, oh boy. I mean, it was soaking wet.
Everything's just soaking, completely soaking. Like you could wring it out with your fat suit.
Yeah. I mean, when we were at the river, I think that got pretty smelly. That did get a little smelly. I mean, nobody was worse than anybody else, I don't think. It would be unfair to point the finger at Stephen Hunter. Definitely not Stephen Hunter.
One of the rabbits parted a lot.
Actually, that's just we were doing getting out of the cocoons, the spider sequence, and we're all wrapped up in this spider's web. It's amazing webs, very claustrophobic.
Yeah.
And it's one of I think it was almost the first day back on pickups, and we're all lying in our cocoons, and we're all tightly packed together, and Peter comes on, and of course the behind the scenes that are there. So you'll probably see this and hear it. He comes over and he says, welcome back, boys, want to say something, and somebody who will remain nameless, I would never point the finger at this person, just farted hugely. I mean, it was enormous. They practically tore open the cocoon. And Peter didn't miss a beat. He didn't miss a beat. He just carried on as if nothing had happened. So that was pretty hard. Yeah.
light in our discomfort. And, you know, the more uncomfortable the more he'd laugh. It's really true. We'd be lying amongst some ruins like when the bridge collapses in the Goblin Caves. We'd squeeze in there, climbing through like scaffolding and line and bizarre things, and he'd come along and he'd get us to sing, "Always look on the bright."
You get to sing it quite a lot.
We did it in the Cocoons as well. Always look on the bright.
When you were on the spit, I mean, you
Oh.
that's the Stevie Lecture, that was real, wasn't it? That was CGI.
The spit roast. That's what, oh boy. We had to wear a harness with a metal plate, and then we were basically bolted onto this spit roast thing. And I was, for some reason, the first one to be put on. Oh yeah, and the last one to be taken off. So I was on it for an hour and a half. Oh, it was, and now, oh boy, it was, because we were moving continually when we were filming, you had people's, you know, groins just in your face. It was, I mean, that was pretty intimate. It was Adam, I think Adam and Mark nearly chucked up. I mean, they were that close to vomiting when we were going around, and I had Mark Handler, I think, right above me. So, but that was yeah, and we sang it then.
So I have to ask about the costuming. How much input did you guys get, especially the bird poop?
Oh, yes.
Did you have any input on the bird poop? I mean, no,
I didn't put any. No, they just get these little birds every morning and go, they fly by my head and shit all over my face. The robins were the worst. Vindictive, aren't they? Yes, they're very vindictive. But then just to make it, you know, they get a seagull in just for the last bit.
Well, then, seriously, with our costumes, they tried out all sorts of different things with us to make sure that it looked right. We had several tests, both for makeup and costume. I suppose the thing we had the most input with were the weapons. We had a lot of input with that. We helped pick what we were going to be using throughout the films, and that was really great. They were very collaborative.
Also, the costumes, because they were so heavy, all real. Layers and layers of leather. And unbelievable how real it was. And the underclothing that you would wear, and you'd have about 6 layers on. But it was great because as Graham mentioned, we kind of had a process of getting things right in the first few months of filming. And the wardrobe people would start stripping bits out to give us more, comfort. So they'd take bits off and instead of putting a full undergarment on, they just put the end of the sleeve on and just a bit round here. It makes it still look like you've got it on. So there's a whole process of that.
But yeah, mine, they just gave me the costume and said, act. I didn't have to bother with the costume on it, did it for me really? That and the bird poop.
They spent months training us to walk like dwarves. And we really, really put our hearts into it. And then they brought along the boots that we were to wear. Because dwarves have to walk a certain way. I'm going to give you an example of that now.
Same thing. Yes, Terry was always saying, get down, which is like bring your weight down to
like a cannonball in the
yeah.
So
Looks like that. We spent 3 months training that, and then they bought along the boots that we wear, and the boots did more for us.
Yeah, they were so heavy that you couldn't walk any other way. Still absolutely true. We used to run around the countryside near the studio, dressed, well, as dwarves.
I'm surprised we weren't reported.
Oh yeah, it was very odd, you know, these 13 men running around, hiding in the grass. People were walking their dogs.
Just we'd be standing around doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We'd see somebody in the distance, I'd say, quick, act normal. Like, what are those guys doing? Sneaking through the trees, pretending we're sneaking up on things, pretending we're lighting campfires.
Yeah, Billy Connie said when he put on his costume, they gave it to him. He trained for months as well, being in war, and fighting, and everything. And then they gave him his costume, and he couldn't move. He said it was just like his own armour. And he said it was like a wee European car. It was so heavy. He was and he couldn't lift anything. So, because
That was heavy. His was very, very heavy.
So, gentlemen, speaking of costumes, I know there's a lot of costumers in the audience, and they've had a good look at the first film. I know you can't go into detail, but is there anything different coming in the next film?
Oh yeah. Oh, costume-wise, completely different. I think everything, well, including was one. So the first movie was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think 6 different costumes, including the one in the first film, for each dwarf. I'm pretty sure. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah, so there's a lot.
And also, the costumes go through what they call the breakdown. Very, very important part of the filmmakers. So you've got costumes, you've got so many costumes, but you've got costumes that look okay because we're starting out on a journey. So everything's clean. But then gradually you go through the film, those costumes those ones are put away, and they have new ones that they scruff up and rip and tear and put dirt on, and that happens progressively throughout the films. It's called breaking down.
Our underwear is very special.
get broke down very quickly.
I've got a question about the underwear. At the end of every day, we had a little bag with our name on it, a little net bag. And that was where you're supposed to put your socks and your underwear, right, into the little net bag so they could wash it. Oh, now I secretly think that they really didn't actually use those little bags and mixed up the underwear and the socks. And so I actually secretly think, I don't know for certain, that we have been wearing each other's underwear for 3 years.
Yes, it's true. I never remember putting a thong in the.
Only in cricket box.
Good.
Well, my costume doesn't change. I don't think they ever washed it. So. I'm a method actor.
So another question.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Now, you all played your respective dwarves, trolls, and wizard roles perfectly, but if there was any other race of Middle-earth that you would like to perform as, which ones would it be?
Oh, that's hard. We don't like elves. we had to start, we figured that elves had really clean toilets. You know, like really pristine and white, and everything's just lovely, and because dwarves aren't like that. Dwarves are a bit more down to earth.
Well, when we arrived, you may know this, but when we arrived in Rivendell, Richard and I standing next to each other as the elves are arriving and muttering. And of course, you know, we weren't mic'd for sound at that point, and we could pretty much say what we liked, but we had to look as though we were talking to each other. And Richard turned to me and said, okay, we use the toilet and then we leave. something of a saying that we then had in almost every scene. So the journey essentially became a quest for a toilet. Honestly, all over Middle-earth. Surely to God there's one here. Well, where is it? They said it was here. So we were doing ADR the other day. And we did it again. We said it again, just for, the sound people do a blooper reel. And we did it for the third movie. We talked about it again. Let's use the toilet, where's the toilet? That's why we break out of our ball.
We have a saying about elves. It's ne ikred fund. And that means never trust an elf. In Dwalish.
So gentlemen, in the extended edition, which comes out in November,
Yes.
is there any increase in disrespect shown towards the elves? I've heard there might be.
Increase in disrespect. Yes. Well, there's definitely some footage that we shot, and I think there's 13 minutes of new footage for the film in the extended, and there's definitely some stuff involving the elves in that. Definitely. As well as I think 15 hours of special features. Yeah. Yeah, they did an amazing job on the special features, so that's for sure. Yeah.
Next question over here, please.
Hi. This is for William. I don't know how much you can actually say on this, but I was wondering if in the next 2 movies we'll get any more focus on Bifur and the axe in his head, and if we get any more backstory with that.
I can't say. But there are things that happen with Bifur that we've shot, which I found very, very, very exciting. So hang on in there. Yeah, things happen. I'm not going to say what. But,
If he says the wrong thing, his part will be axed.
remember, we said it was an accident.
Exactly.
Next question over here.
Hello?
Hi.
Hey, this question is actually for all three of you. I know that a lot of actors have memorabilia or something they take from a set or a scene, and I was wondering if any of you have anything that you take.
Yeah. Well, they very kindly gave us some stuff. Some things they gave to us, and some things they didn't. Some things Jed Brophy gave to us. Yeah, Jed had a great talent for taking stuff. He filled his boots with probably at least half of Smaug's gold.
Hey, who's gold? Who's gold? It's our gold!
So Jed was taking it home. Peter sort of said to him at one point, because you can tell, Jed was acting suspiciously. And he said to him, what are you doing, Jed? Are you taking stuff? And Jed said, I'll tell you what, Pete, if you can stop me doing it, I'll stop. You never saw him do it? So I have a little collection at home. Smaug's, well, our gold, is sitting comfortably in my house. But they gave us away.
They did. We actually, look, don't tell anybody, but we probably all ended up with some little bits and pieces. And that's all I'm going to say.
I've got some of their gold.
that's the kind of attention to detail they
Quite extraordinary.
different denominations. Yeah, amazing.
Made of real gold.
Back to this side, please.
I have a question for Grandma McTavish. Hello again.
Hello.
I would like you to do the Dwalin falsetto for me.
What? Sorry, what was that?
The Dwalin falsetto, the voice that you do for Dwalin. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. Let me think. Well, Dwalin sort of talks like that. He's very kind of deep and pure, say in Scotland. So, yeah, he's based to a great extent on my father. My father shared some of Dwalin's characteristics. And he also is based on a great many people I know in Scotland. There is a Dwalin in almost every bar you'll go into in Scotland. It's true. It's true. They're just everywhere. So, yeah, that's how I got the inspiration for that particular.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Back to this side, please.
With all the time that you have spent in costume, do you find that you ended up having different relationships with each other in and out of costume as if you were completely different people?
Different relationships with each other in and out of costume.
Only at night.
No, well, actually, quite seriously, the strange thing is that in some cases, I would say I've seen them more in costume than out. I would say, like Peter Hamilton, I would say I've seen Peter more as Dwalin than I've seen him as Peter. And that is kind of strange. In fact, there were people in the crew who would never have seen us as ourselves. Yeah, they're not that, but they would have seen us as ourselves. So,
What was bizarre is when we first started doing makeup tests, people were coming into the catering tent and we couldn't recognize them because they just looked so crazy. So when we first started seeing our makeups, it was, oh my God, that is insane. And then we started to get so used to our new faces and relating to each other with our new faces, just became second nature. Wasn't it? It's a hard thing when you think about it,
well, that catering tent that we used to have lunch in, which was huge, it was about the size of this room, wasn't it? It was enormous. And they would cater for 500 people every day for lunch. Beautiful, beautiful food. You'd go in there, and anybody that hadn't been on the show for a long time or just arrived that day would be amazed at this sea of weird faces, and giants and little midgets, and all that. And it became completely normal for us to look around and see, like Kircher, who plays Bilbo Baggins's scale double, who's 3'6", and a chap who referred to as Tall Paul, who's Gandalf's double, who's 7.5 feet tall. He's huge.
A lovely guy.
And they are both really close friends, and they go everywhere together.
It's true. You see them in the street, downtown.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're probably...
Kircher and Tall Paul.
Yeah, and Tall Paul is a policeman. When he's not being, he's actually a policeman in New Zealand. Can you imagine if you'd done anything wrong? It's just like, yeah, take me now, it's fine.
There was an instance on tour. There was an instance when we were on tour down south where some guy got a bit silly in a bar and picked Kieran up. And so Kieran smacked him on the nose. Kieran is like off the ground. He's about that big.
Off the table.
So the guy picks him up. Kieran smacks him on the nose. He's a feisty little guy. Tall Paul had to rescue him and carry him out.
It was terrible. I mean, that was when we were shooting down in near Milford Sound, and we were in
Tiana.
Yeah, we were in a place called Tiana, and there was a band playing, and all the scale doubles went along, and Tall Paul, and then basically, to cut a long story short, there became this
bar fight, essentially. A proper full-on bar fight between some local people and all the scale doubles that were all, under 5 foot tall. And Kieran broke this guy's nose. And Paul had to carry people out, lift them up by the scruff of the neck, just carry them outside. Extraordinary. That's what it was like. Madness. Next question.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
In that vein, when one learns a foreign language, the first thing one always wants to learn is a good, juicy curse word. I'm wondering, can you keep just some curse words in more?
I've forgotten them, but I've got one.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, just like this. Eat kid! Eat kid! You eat kid! Shut up!
Is that right? Yeah, I think there's a couple of, there's a couple coming up in the next movie. Yeah, I think.
We were shooting about, 6 weeks ago, and I was doing a scene with Peter Hamilton, and we got a call down from Peter saying, could you please give William some swear words in Dwarvish? Yeah.
Back to the surface.
Did you read the book before you tried out for the part?
Did we read the book before? Did you? Look, yeah, you did? Yeah.
I read the book when I was young, and my God, I read it bloody fast when I got the part. Couldn't have got down to the library fast enough.
No, I to be honest with you, I read The Lord of the Rings when I was a teenager, but I hadn't read The Hobbit. And when I got the job, as William says, I read it very quickly.
Yeah, well, I had read it. I read it to my sons when they were little, but forgotten it completely. And then when I went and got the job, I rushed home to find out what my part was like.
Can you talk about injuries? Did anybody have any epic tales of things getting hurt, breaking?
Injuries?
Yep.
You hurt your foot.
Yes, on the very first day of filming, I got up at 5. I went to the set, and I was in the house with an upstaging little hedgehog, and I had to run around and improvise and do stuff. And the floor was higgledy-piggledy all over the place. And by the end of the day, I didn't finish it at 10 o'clock at night. It was incredibly hot and uncomfortable and everything else like that. And by the end of the day, I actually couldn't walk. I mean, I could not walk. Both of my ankles and feet had this collapse. Now, I had a weak, ankle anyway. My left one was bound to go. But that kind of compounded it, really. And that's why, at this moment, I'm wearing this.
We call him Robo-Foot.
Yes, I should never have kicked that hedgehog. It's very physical.
With probably the exception of what Sylvester just described, we were pretty lucky. There were a lot of opportunities for us to get injured. There were cuts and bruises and strains.
Graham got a bit banged up in the last, because he spent 2 weeks fighting like crazy just before we finished, and that was before he was acting.
That was, yeah. And then I did film.
Yeah.
No,
yeah, there was a few things like that. Orlando broke one of the stunt guys' noses. Yeah, absolutely. He did. And then he just carried on. The stunt guy just carried on. Just an orc, just blood pouring out of his face. Yeah, they're tough people, those guys.
Because we got so much, we fell over quite a lot. But because we're wearing so much padding, everybody would rush to your aid, you know, because you'd be running, fall over, and you'd be like, oh my gosh, you're all right. Never felt a thing.
When we were doing the barrel sequence, Stephen Hunter, because his suit was so big, it was difficult getting him into the barrel. And it was virtually impossible getting him out. And he had to, and I remember now, we were instructed to go out backwards, like a scuba diving when we got to the beach, after paddling for like 500 yards. And Stephen decided, for reasons best known to himself, to go out face first into a fast-flowing river.
And he went under.
And he couldn't get out. And so he was just stuck, and you just saw his little arms waving. And did anyone help him? I don't know. No, but people were tried. No, people did go to his aid. And I remember Adam was so wet and heavy that when he came out of the water, you'll see it in the film actually, there's a moment where I'm trying to pick him up. And I've got him under it. And I simply couldn't lift him, he was so heavy with the water. But at first I thought, you're hamming it up a bit, mate, come on, just get it up. You can't get out of that. And he couldn't stand, because he was so waterlogged from being in the river. But he didn't injure himself, fortunately. Richard nearly drowned.
I smashed my finger.
He nearly drowned.
I went under as well. I was stupid. I thought it'd be, I could get out of the barrel. Instead of waiting for the guys to come and help me, I thought I'll get out by myself. And the same thing that happened with Stephen. I went out of the barrel and just went straight down under the water, and then completely misjudged the fact that the suit was completely waterlogged. You can't stand up.
You were in a deeper part of the river as well, weren't you? Yeah.
I did actually have an almost accident, which could have been quite bad, when I was on the sled. They filmed it in a green scene, a green set. It's all green. The floor was green, and it was all on top of a rubber ring covered in green. And there was two men dressed as green, and they were lying on the floor, making it go up and down, as if, that was technically, and I was on the back, like this. And then I was asked to do a double take, and I was like, and then they said, quicker, faster, bigger. And then at one point they decided they wanted to film it from underneath, so they got down, but there was the padding underneath the green on the carpet. It was taken away, and then they sort of low enough, they filmed it. And then eventually they said, more, double takes, and I did one, a bigger one, and my hand flew off. And I flew off onto the floor. And I hit the floor without any padding. It was concrete, and my bum hit it, and I felt, oh my God, I was going really fast. My head didn't actually hit the concrete, I could feel it in my brain. I'm not thinking of bang, I'm feeling the brain move. Anyway.
Let's recreate that accident again.
Luckily for me, because I was about to be concussed, I think. And one of the stuntmen died, and the carpet, no one was allowed on the carpet unless they were dressed in blue. But he was outside, and he actually dived, rugby tackle time, and got my head just before the whole impact hit the ground. Saved my head.
So panelists, we're running out of time here. Is there anything you need to worry about? We're ready for
just any more questions we're happy to answer.
All right, we'll take another question over here.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. This is a question for William. Being Bifur, you had to learn the ancient Dwarven language because he can't speak speak in the normal tongue. So what was that like?
No, that was really, really interesting. What amazed me, because this film, they set out to do everything right. And okay, so there is a budget, you know, and you have to come in on a budget. But when they set out, and the writers and the producers set out to make this film, they wanted to do it right. And so, like with Lord of the Rings, they have a phonetics expert in England writing, who wrote the Dwarvish. And sometimes I might, like for example, the line I say at Bag End, they would send it overnight. I would say, hey, look, I'd like to say something here, and so the dialogue people would actually overnight get the guy to write the stuff. So it was a real gift actually to be given something like that, and to learn something. Okay, so it's a fictional language, but once again, the guy, what he's doing, whoever did it, it's only got met him, actually really took from Tolkien and wrote the real thing. I mean, it's just, the attention to detail is astounding. So what I say is, Dayada Maimag Ut Kalima. And we have dialogue people all the time correcting us when we don't get it right. Even the Dwarvish, which is hilarious when you think about it. Because it doesn't really exist. Oh no, you don't say it like that. You don't say it like that. Dayada Maimag Ut Kalima. It's fun.
Yeah, it was hell. I was trying to learn that curse when I was trying to save Sebastian's life. It was really difficult, and it kept correcting me. You know, the pronunciation is said, and if we don't do it, you know, the fans will write in and give you a hard time. It's all your fault.
Take another one from over here.
Hi. Wanted to know if you could sing the Stunt song for us.
What the song? Oh, well, do you want some backing? I can see a didgeridoo out there. Yeah. And I've got a spoon. Alright, we're going to give it a go now. I had quite a late night last night. Not very well. So please don't judge me. And my singing coach is coming on stage now. She'll have to find a microphone, and she's going to help me out. This is my wife. So people are actually going to do some music here from Dan Anderson. Come on up. I've got to give me notes. I'll wait for the didgeridoo. That's good.
The misty mountains glow.
Let's try that again. Very good. Okay, here we go.
Rover, the misty mountains glow, to dungeons deep and caverns old. We must away ere break of day to find our long forgotten gold. The pines were roaring on the high, the winds were moaning through the night. The fire was red, its flaming spread. The trees like torches blazed with light. Whoops, went the wrong part. There you go.
It's already there.
Yeah.